All right, welcome to the third review of the evening. Up this time is Defense Task Force Sci-Fi Tower Defense. Wonder if they got paid by the defense. But anyway, Defense Task Force featuring large-scale procedurally generated tower defense battles with FPS quality visuals. What? Like,
There's allegedly a cinematic mode, but it's not actually like playable in that mode, so I didn't bother with it.
and infinite waves. 10 tower types with fringe attacks, 3 levels plus boosts, 25 enemy alien species, regular, swarmers, racers, flokers, healers, boss units, and spawners. So, yeah, this is a tower defense game. So, of miniature golf course, I gave this to Gollitz.
So I'm not actually good at miniature golf or tower defense. So it should come as relatively little surprise that I tried the first level 3 times and failed all 3 times after like 15 minutes of investment each time, because you have to get to 25 waves to clear the first stage, and that's less than any other stage there was. So first you have to build things to build your towers on, and then you have to build towers.
Okay.
I don't know if it actually tells you this, but when you build the things to build the towers on, it does change the enemy's path a little bit. The enemies start moving as soon as you build the towers. And then there are a couple of different types of shooting towers. There are a couple of types of individual shot towers with various speeds. There are a couple of types of like continuous fire towers, like your flamethrowers and your continuous beams. And then there are some area of effect things that are all super expensive. So I only bothered with one of them near the very end, and I lost anyway all 3 times. So we'll see how long this lasts for Petty Fan. He'll probably still make it to at least over wave 15. There's also not really like a significant gap between the waves. Like the next wave starts before the previous wave like gets to the thing. So yeah, what you're doing here is you are trying to defend the site for long enough to claim it and extract energy, which is what that thing on the left side of the screen is doing. As you can see, the FPS graphics are not super useful when you are far enough away to actually see what's going on. Like, you really can't even... Like, sure, the enemy models are relatively high quality, I guess, but... Like...
Yeah, this game isn't Sanctum.
Yeah. And also, you don't need to or even want to be able to see them. You can also change the priority of target for each tower. You can change it to hit the strongest enemy, the weakest enemy, the first enemy, or I think or closest. I think you have to... When you change it, I think it changes the default for your next towers you place, but also it's the... You can also adjust it for each tower individually. The third tutorial video, which is the one where they actually get into like how to do the actual fighting, recommends usually using first. So yeah, as the waves go by, you start seeing enemies with shields or different types of enemies or like boss type enemies, and those all have different affinities with the various kinds of tower. Like the basic grunt, it takes equal damage for everything, but a lot of the other things, like some enemies are weaker to energy stuff, some enemies are weaker to physical stuff. This would be a lot more meaningful if they didn't come super fast, and also if you're playing the game in a useful video thing, you can't tell what the individual enemies usually are anyway. And as you can see, you have the option to sell your towers if you want to replace them with something else because the thing you put in isn't working. And you also have the option to upgrade it, except for you don't have the option to upgrade it because that's one of the meta upgrades that you have to unlock by clearing stages that, obviously, since I didn't clear any stages, I was not able to participate in. By the time you get to the end of this stage, and to repeat, you need to clear 25 waves, which is like 7 longer than the tutorial says for the first stage. And also, when you're selecting the blueprint for the stage, because you can change your blueprints, but you only start with this one and then another one, and you can't even use the other one. But all the other ones cost more. But this one only has 14 places where you can put towers, and you're going to have your 14 things filled way before you actually get to the end. There are also 2 right by the extractor thingy. I know, Petty fans probably might be doing... Well, no, you're only still on wave 11. Again, I want to clarify that I lost... which it goes until you lose. And you have to go, or it goes until the enemies get to the extractor and you can't fight them off anymore. You have to have cleared 25 stages on the first stage, which is the shortest amount that I could see, to count as winning. And that took like 15 minutes to get to the 20 stages I managed, 20 waves I managed to actually clear. So yeah, this is not a game to play for like super short sessions, I feel like. Anyway, when you defeat the thing, you get a reward of energy differential based on like... I don't think it's actually like the amount of energy you gather in the stage, which is the thing up in the corner. I believe it has more. I don't know how it's calculated, but it's something to do with the difference between how much you earned and how much you spent, and then that is used to unlock the meta upgrades. It also keeps track of like your high score for how many waves you get based on each blueprint for each area, apparently. But again, I never actually unlocked any other blueprints or areas because I could only get to about wave 22 on this, and then there was a wave full of all guys that had too many hit points. The tutorial, there are like 5 tutorial videos, some of which are like over 10 minutes long. And they go over everything from stuff you already had to do to be able to access the tutorial video, such as making your user profile, to like the different effects of the different towers, some stuff about the various enemies, the stuff you can unlock by meta progression, but in the like hour or 2 out, I think it was like an hour and a half total I spent on the game. Yeah, the towers there might be blocking the fire a little bit. The tutorial video, which the last time I built almost exactly like the tutorial video said to, and I still lost, for the record. The tutorial video put the fire tower only on the very first space because it's really good for clearing out grunts. And it also didn't use any machine guns and only used the proton blaster thingy, which, I don't know. Again, there's a lot of stuff. There is a... When you start the game, there's an option to launch without it for if you're streaming, but there's like a friggin' 5+ minute tutorial video lore intro video talking about how when the world was running out of energy and everyone was going to die, a new planet fell out of a wormhole just outside of our solar system and was identified as full of resources, including 0-point energy. So all of humanity united to go over and extract the energy from that planet. But then, aliens, which are apparently called the Kraken or something. So yeah, I feel like there are a lot of in-depth mechanics here, but most of them escape me as a person who's not actually super into, tower defense as a genre. And this is definitely a very classic tower defense game in that your only actual options for interacting with the world are building towers and selling towers. You don't have any individual things that you can do anything with, really. The soundtrack, from what I can remember, was pretty much purely functional. Like, it wasn't bad, but nothing special either. You might want to change, either build something. I don't know, maybe. I guess he died from something. Oh, right. The extractor point does also have, like, a weak defense thing. But yeah, like you can see, a lot of the time the enemies have shields, but I don't know, aside from like that those are affected by different weapons, I don't really. Honestly, I was just building towers that seemed to be effective, and like I said in the last one, I was trying to literally copy their build and I still lost, so. Do you guys have any questions or anything?
No.
I'm trying to direct this because it's a tower defense game, and I'm trying to think of other stuff I can say. Then, if you've played a tower defense game that's sci-fi flavored, it was probably fairly similar to this.
Yeah, I think I'm good.
Most of the towers seem relatively non-war crimey, except for the poisoned one and probably the fire one, actually. But
Yeah. Also, shout out to the Tesla one.
Yeah. That's the one of the fancy ones at the end I actually built. I was thinking about trying the space-time one, but it was just so damn expensive, and its range isn't actually that big. But you'd presumably plug that down somewhere in the long strip, and it would slow down everything coming and going, I guess.
Meanwhile, will they get bathed in holy flames? I mean, wait, what?
I at this point I kind of want to just go see how long it takes Betty Fan to lose, because he's probably going to, but I don't know, maybe I'm just bad at this.
I mean, I've never been the best at RTS either, but or not RTS, tower defense either, but we'll see what happens.
Because you used regular machine gun turrets, and I didn't do that because I remember the tutorial not recommending ever using them. And then, as you can see, now that you have enemies near the thingy, in the bottom left corner, the orange thing that is your extractor's hit points is going down. Oh, also, another thing that's weird is that in spite of you're supposed to be getting energy from the extractor, you only gain energy resource stuff to build with when you kill things.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's proper gameplay, and so yeah, that's about what my experience was. Only I did it 3 times.
Yeah, that's not great.
And then if you look in the encyclopedia, you can view all the different enemies. I am kind of concerned that there aren't that many kinds of enemies. I mean, you don't see all of them in the first stage, but you see like half of them. And then in research, presumably you can use that 74 energy you got to, I don't know, maybe unlock the ability to make your machine guns better, but I doubt you're going to be able to afford much with 70. So yeah, that's honestly about what I got out of this. It seems competent, but the quality of the graphics as something that they strongly promote, I feel like you're not actually going to be experiencing the graphics at that good of a quality unless you like put everything in cinematic camera mode and just watch really closely. And at that closeness, the effects don't look that amazing. So,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, FPS quality is not a quality level, guys. Unless you're talking about like, oh yeah, these things would still be readable if each one took up an eighth of the screen or whatever. So yeah, I'm not going to say it was a bad game, but there's not really anything about it that jumps out at me as being unique or high quality.
FPS
It's
quality. Haha.
you don't want to talk to me about what quality I think FPSs are. What's the price on this, Adam?
$2.99.
Sure, that's fine. Check it out if you want to do a sci-fi flavored. I mean, I'm curious if there isn't story at all later on, because the intro video was fairly in-depth, but that might have been their entire budget for plot. Yeah, I guess that's all I got. That doesn't sound like a bad price for this game, but I'm probably not going to come back to it much.
All right, then. So that'll about do it for Defense Task Force here. Be sure to tune in after the break as we review Gourmet Warriors.